Princess treatment is not a checklist. It's not about gifts. It's not reserved for only the wealthy. It's not transactional, and it's not about whether or not you should acknowledge the waitstaff. True princess treatment flows from genuine femininity, a woman who carries herself with softness, confidence, and grace. Quick PSA, the creator of this channel has two loud toddlers that she tries to keep occupied with ice cream and TV while she films her videos, but it is imperfect, so you might hear their sounds peeping in here and there. I appreciate so much your grace, and let's get into the video. This video, I'm talking about real princess treatment, the kind that flows, the kind that naturally comes to you by a man who wants to protect and provide, and that doesn't need to be begged for, the kind that doesn't need to be, essentially tricked into giving, the kind that naturally comes to feminine women. It doesn't come from pretending to be high value. It doesn't come from being demanding. It is anchored in your femininity. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the essence of princess treatment, what actually draws masculine men to provide this princess treatment, and how to live this way whether you're single, dating, or married. Moreover, how to live an overarching feminine life that inspires devotion, care, and tenderness. Before we get into the video, I wanted to thank my members who support the channel. If you're interested in supporting my channel, I will leave a link to it down below, as well as everybody who likes the videos and leaves comments. That also helps get my channel out there as a small channel, and I appreciate it so much. So let's begin with the first point. I have some notes on my phone, so if you catch me looking down, that is what I am doing, just to make sure that I'm staying on track, because there are a lot of thoughts that I have when it comes to this topic that has been trending lately. So when we think about princess treatment, we often think about like lavish gifts, designer things, trips, but those are expressions. They are not the essence. They are not the core of what princess treatment is and how to get it. Essence of princess treatment is being cherished. It is being protected, and it is being treated with honor and respect. Let's define some real life examples that aren't just solely based on extravagant material goods that can be accessed by every feminine woman. He opens the car door, not because you can't, but because it makes your life easier. He walks on the sidewalk, like closest to the street. He keeps your safety in mind, and that is a classic chivalry example. He remembers your coffee or tea order, something small, but something thoughtful. He brings you a favorite treat during like a hard time, or he sets up a warm blanket during your time of the month. He doesn't raise his voice at you during times of conflict because he acknowledges your sensitivity. He checks in to see if you had made it home in the case of like dating. And this extends to even the largest thing. The case of my husband, when I expressed to him that I wanted to become a housewife and a stay-at-home mom, going from like a career woman to somebody who had a lot of things happening all at once, he embraced my newfound dreams, my newfound interests. He sought to make my life easier and my life more enjoyable. And he saw my softness as a treasure and not as a burden. I will repeat this point. It comes back to the essence and the core of what it is. He sees your softness as a treasure, but not as a burden. So princess treatment is not about necessarily the checklist of material things. It is the way that a man moves around you. But I do want to take a few steps back and talk about how princess treatment begins with your heart posture. It begins inside with cultivating your femininity. It is about opening yourself to receiving. Many women nowadays do not realize that they have like these internal dialogues or blocks that prevent them from receiving. Thoughts of not wanting to be a burden, conditioning of being hyper independent, thinking that you have to do something yourself to get it quote unquote right, not feeling as though you want to owe anything to a man, and perhaps thinking that you are too much, that you need to tone it down, that perhaps you have too high of expectation. So if any of these points resonate with you, I want to encourage you to reframe your thinking to the saying of like, things flow to me and I am worthy of receiving them. My needs are worthy of attention as a feminine woman. My feminine softness, again, is worthy of being treasured, and I can receive without feeling guilt. This is so important, and honestly, repeat it to yourself ad nauseum if you have to deprogram the concept that you only feel valuable if you are hyper independent, if you don't have to rely on anybody else, and you struggle with the concept of being receptive in your femininity. Princess treatment is not about clinging, it is about receiving. So as you've already noticed, I like to bring it back to simplistic examples that many women can relate to. If your first instinct to somebody opening the door for you or somebody carrying your groceries is like you have to do it your way to do it right, or you have the posture of self-protection of like, no, I've got it, or you feel like a burden, receiving that kind of help from a simple gesture, you might not be in the proper mindset to receive. Instead of saying, no, I've got it, that's okay, accepting the help in a receptive way, like that would be so lovely, thank you very much, I appreciate it so much, is a more feminine posture to have that will open the door to further princess treatment. You have to think about the flow this way. He gives, you receive as a feminine woman. Your gratitude and your receptiveness and your warmth helps him feel purposeful, and you feel cherished in return, and the cycle continues. It really is that simple, but it's a mindset shift, and it is truly understanding the feminine essence of what princess treatment is. Now, I do want to put a little bit of a caveat of like, if you feel unsafe in certain situations, like allowing somebody to hold the door for you and do a small, nice gesture like that, you do not owe politeness to anybody. Practice self-preservation if you feel unsafe. But again, it was just a simplistic example to show to you what the essence of princess treatment is and how it can be extrapolated to even larger things. Which definitely segues into my next point of understanding masculine men and how they respond to inspiration, not manipulation. So the conversation a lot about princess treatment and hypergamy, high value content online is very manipulative and transactional. And this is not genuine when it comes to long lasting princess treatment, because you're both essentially playing a game, kind of trying to like one up each other until somebody gets exhausted and the facade just totally comes crumbling down. This is again another reason why I believe that anybody in any tax bracket can experience princess treatment, because it goes back to that concept of feminine, masculine flow, receptivity, and awakening in your man the masculine desire to lead, provide, and protect, which can be done on any budget. And to be frank, many women who practice this feminine princess treatment in lower income brackets have longer lasting success because they understand this concept, because they are chasing the core values of princess treatment rather than just the tangible gifts. The tangible gifts are, again, a byproduct. And as, for example, your man succeeds in life, like those gifts can become larger, but they are not the foundation of princess treatment. So it's important to understand the concept of soft receptivity. If you're on a date, a man pulls a chair for you, saying with a genuine smile, having open body contact, thank you, openly communicating that these things make you feel special. It's not performative, it's natural. It is, again, that flow, that receptivity, that softness. You will feel successful at these micro actions, which will feed back into wanting to do more. Princesses make people feel appreciated. They have a graceful attitude. If your man fills up your car with gas, for example, acknowledge how thoughtful that is. Accentuate your appreciation around how it makes you feel, and it doesn't hurt to include a compliment about him as well, about how he's always looking after others, for example. I know these things just sound elementary and basic, but in modern culture, we honestly forget about them a lot of times because, again, we are conditioned to be hyper independent, to, not take the time to nurture and care about somebody else by like paying them a genuine compliment. All of these things matter. They are cumulative micro actions that feed back into the concept of princess treatment. Have a ladylike demeanor. Life is going to throw you so many curveballs, but pausing, practicing self-regulation, coming back to conflict within 48 hours if you need that time to decompress, giving your man the courtesy of letting him know like, hey, I'm having a bad day, or like this conflict is a lot for me. I just need time to, again, decompress and come back to the issue is so much more ladylike than exploding in the moment or saying something that you would regret. I mentioned 48 hours because I find that that is the sweet spot, and I've mentioned it on the members side of my channel. When it comes to conflict in your relationship, take 48 hours. The first 24 hours is like decompress your emotions. The next 24 hours is to reflect on the actual situation, and you're usually much better able to respond when you give yourself those 48 hours. This helps inspire trust because your man like sees that you have emotional stability, but it also communicates that you have feelings that need to be acknowledged, that you are putting a boundary that is respectful but not totally shutting down whatever the conflict is by like gaslighting or again like responding with intense emotion. And so it lays the foundation for healthy respect, healthy conflict that I do still think is an important part of princess treatment because you are a holistic person. Life is unpredictable, life is unfair, and we still do need to acknowledge this important point. I have mentioned on my channel before in my communication videos, like lightly touching somebody when you're dating them, for example, when you are like showing your body language in an open way that leans towards them, straightening a man's tie, bringing him coffee or a snack. Those small feminine touches inspire magnetism and inspire him to want to do the same for you. Due to the nature of a masculine man, it tends to be like amplified. It's showing that feminine care that isn't servitude, but it is nurturing. And this is a concept that got lost a lot in the femininity and like traditional femininity community. There's a big difference between nurturing care and servitude or treating a man like a child. Doing things for him in a feminine way to nurture him, to inspire masculinity is different than treating him as if he is another one of your children. You don't have to do every single thing for him. In fact, I do actually recommend not doing that, but like taking the time, for example, to fold his laundry nicely. Or again, if you're dating, like making him a nice little treat and surprising him with it. Try to think about little things that you can incorporate that show that feminine nurturing care. And on the concept of body language, go through my femininity body language playlist. It has been a while because I've been pregnant postpartum that I've made another video over there. So I am a little bit, like more rigid in those videos, but they still have points that are valuable. Like I've mentioned in this video before, like open body language, feminine hands, softness, flowy, tilting your head while listening, leaning in, not rushing, walking slower. I am going to be making more videos in this series in the upcoming months, but as many of you probably heard toddlers in the background, I just need to make sure that I have the proper opportunity where my husband can watch them for me to actually do so. So stay tuned, hit the notifications button, subscribe, all that kind of stuff so that you don't miss out. Men will match your energy, but it is such a crucial and important thing because we want to create that polarity in all aspects, that foundation to let princess treatment thrive through soft body language. So take note of how you move throughout your day. Are you like slamming doors? Are you dragging your feet? Are you rushing? Where can you slow down in your life? Because even if you don't like follow the feminine hands, the feminine sitting, feminine walking, just the concept of slowing down will by default give you more feminine body language. So think about what you can cut out in your day to better embrace a soft life. I understand many of you are in school, many of you have careers that are very busy, or you have children. Toddlers are definitely not slow in their movement, but where can you streamline your day to make it flow? I have been embracing in the summer crock pot meals, something as simple as that. Sometimes when we think about femininity, we think about these larger concepts, but think about your everyday life. Crock pot meals have created less of a chaotic dinner time for me, and I'm better able to focus and flow through my day and draw my attention to things that matter, which are the relationships in my life and the calmness that I feel as a feminine woman. So let's talk about how to practice princess treatment but still have firm boundaries. Let's still go back to that concept that I talked about like real life happens, conflict happens, things are not always perfect. And when we think about princess treatment, sometimes, it's like this lovely concept, but how do we actually apply it when things are not picture perfect. The way to do this is what I like to call peaceful firmness. You don't demand in a masculine way. It's understood by the way that you carry yourself, by the way that you softly communicate your boundaries, and you just move forward if necessary. Communicate and let it go. That is the feminine way to do it. You don't need to practice emotional control by not having to go on and on and on. That tends to make men feel trapped, but just providing that firm boundary and moving forward, perhaps understanding that it wasn't necessarily meant to be, that is the way that you can practice graceful firmness. If, for example, a man cancels a date on you or something, like instead of acting in an emotional way, say, thanks for letting me know. We can reschedule when the timing feels right. So you communicated your boundary and you let it go. If he doesn't really plan good dates and that's something that, you are looking for in terms of princess treatment, and like he feels as though his dates are slacking or he's not taking initiative, or like he wants you to plan the dates, you can communicate in a way like, I really enjoy quality time. It's something very important for me, and I enjoy a man who feels the same in planning these dates. Let me know if that's something you're interested in looking for too. You're opening the door to like having him step up. You're communicating your boundary, but you're not pushing it, and you're letting it go. Princesses don't control the outcome. They just provide the stage for the outcome. And if the person is not willing to take the stage for the outcome, they move on to a different stage. The man that you're looking for will rise to the occasion. Let's take a step aside and stop talking about men for a second and talk about how you can create princess treatment in your everyday life just within yourself, encompassing what I referred to as the beauty checklist, which was inspired by vintage books that I like to collect at the thrift store. That basically is like a ritual that women used to have where they meticulously planned out what they did for their beauty daily, monthly, yearly, that helped them stay consistent, but also like tuned out the rest of the noise of the beauty industry, just like overwhelming with choice. It was about like picking what works for you, sticking to it, and showing the love and dedication that you have for yourself through these beauty rituals. I did create the first video in that series. I will link it down below. The next video is coming out in a couple of weeks, so again, stay tuned for that. But you want to lay the foundation of like treating yourself like a princess, not in a stuck-up way, throughout your day, to just prove to yourself that you value yourself and that you are worth it. Getting yourself actual matching pajamas, giving yourself coffee time every single morning. This is something that I've trained my kids to like be respectful of me. Mommy has her coffee time every morning for 20 minutes, adopting a signature scent, doing your makeup every single day if you are a makeup person, putting on a hair mask weekly, self-tanning if you're into that, going to get a pedicure biannually. These are some simplistic examples of how you can dedicate care to yourself and treat yourself like a princess. Setting the tone for how you want to be treated is so cliche, but it really does start with yourself. Now, a note about marriage, because we talked a lot about dating, but the concepts of setting the tone do apply in this context as well. Do not forget to treat your everyday life in small moments as if you are still dating. Do not forget to appreciate your husband, regardless of like actions that he should be doing anyway. Just like you as a mother, for example, like to be told that you're doing a good job with your kids, or like your meals are nice, or just like the simple gratitude of like, hey, thanks for getting up with the baby. I know it's hard on you, but I appreciate it. These are all things like what we should do. You can't let a baby cry all night long. You have to get up and tend to the baby. But just hearing that it's appreciated, just hearing the things that you do, it makes you feel good. So don't forget that your husband is worthy of that same respect. He can't be expected to be treated like a princess or treated like a queen if you don't treat your king or your prince the same way. I know that sounds super cheesy. You don't want to lose the magic. And of course, it's that big element of conflict. Like I mentioned, a trick that I started doing over the past couple of years that really helped in my marriage. There are hard times, but make sure you remember that marriage is supposed to be fun. Even in the worst of times, even in the most conflict that could happen with like work or, moving, all that kind of stuff, it's still supposed to be an adventure that you take together. And a big element of that is practicing gratitude, but also looking at what you have to go through as one day at a time. Treating yourself with your routines, being thankful for your health, being thankful for your life, and telling your spouse about like what they do that helps you feel loved, appreciated, and seen is so important. And taking that compliment a step further is also very important. And I know people in recent years have started to have like issues with love languages, and it's kind of like something that you hear a lot that seems just common sense by now, but I'm going to remind you that I personally believe that love languages are important. Making sure that you are communicating what your love language is, but also making time to feed back and acknowledge what theirs is and do a couple things here and there. Lastly, I do want to drive in the point, because culture tells us so often that we need to shut down our emotions as women, that you were meant to be cherished, that you are not too emotional, that you are not too soft, that you are not too sensitive. You are the garden, not the gardener. Princess treatment starts with you believing in this concept. In today's society, this would be like radical self-esteem, but it is so important to live your life as a feminine woman and to reject modern messaging that says you are exactly like a man. This will prevent you from falling into what I guess some people would call being a pick-me, but understanding the value of being picked when you are true to your desires of being so. You rest in your essence, you rest in your femininity, you stop trying to do too much, and you create a space for masculine energy to rise. You soften without fear, and you protect yourself. You stop trying to be chosen, but you become magnetic. So I'm going to end the video there, but I encourage you to leave comments down below. What does princess treatment mean to you? How have you experienced it or embodied it in your life? How do you stay soft? How do you stay selective, but in a radiant and easy way? A lot of things that we talked about today in this video are broad concepts, and they focus a lot on like the inner work. So that's why it helps to hear other accounts from women down below, so that we can better explore this topic together and we can all achieve in a feminine way our goals for relationships, self-care, marriage, through sharing with each other in community. Thank you again for those of you who like the videos, and my members who support the channel. It means so much to me. See you next time. Bye-bye.